This is Armando over at Armando's Imagery photographer, giving you my 5 beginner tips to photography. My 5 tips for making success in the photography business a little bit easier. I consider myself a great photographer. A lot of other people do. I have many clients that come back to me over and over, constantly getting booked on different kinds of gigs, and I'm really excited all the time. I feel confident about the work that I can put out. My 5 tips before we get into any details. First off, the camera that you have does not matter. It doesn't matter. Second, you're wanting more likes and more feedback? I can help you with that. Third, you need to learn about lighting. It's so very important. Fourth, you need to know these 3 basic settings very well and how they kind of operate with each other. Frame speed, aperture, and the ISO of your camera. Fifth, you need to book more gigs. I'm going to tell you that as well. A little bit more detail on how I'm able to keep a steady flow of business, on how I'm able to keep projects that not only interest me, but help me get paid and build my portfolio. First off, the camera does not matter. I'm a great photographer. There are many great photographers, some even better than I, some that just pick up a camera and they work wonders. What you really need is an understanding of what you can do with what you have. All I've done is get new lenses, buy lighting stands, tripods, different things of that nature, and focus more on the other avenues of being a photographer than just what kind of camera I have, because I love the camera that I'm using. Now, this camera I'm about to show you is very affordable. It's one of the entry-level DSLRs. I'm able to create amazing images, and any starting photographer should look at this as well as a couple other ones in the lineup to start out. The camera that I run with every day is actually a Canon T3i, Canon Rebel series. Very inexpensive. When I bought this camera, it was $400, $420, $425, something like that, and it even came with this 18 to 55 millimeter lens. Now, the reason why I love this camera, and I think it's great for people that are starting, the screen. It pops out. It lets me get angles. I'm short. It lets me get angles up high, down low, a little bit easier than using a monopod or a tripod. I suggest anything in the Canon series, anything in the Nikon series. Sony's great too. Those are the 3 big brands. They're all really great. I use the Canon 50mm, very inexpensive. You can get this for about $100, brand new. I wish I would have started with this lens instead of this lens, but it is a prime lens, which basically means you can't zoom in or out using this lens. The other lens that I have that I really love and upgraded to was the 85mm Canon. It's a 1.8 as well. So sharp, it's so beautiful. So the camera doesn't matter as much as learning what your camera can do, learning the settings, learning how to manipulate it and what you need to make it even better. You really need to learn about your lenses. You need to learn about what kind of photography you want to do. You need to learn about different lighting situations. And to do that, all you really can do is just go out there and take pictures, whatever it is. Second point, as a starting photographer, a lot of people get discouraged whenever they put out something on Facebook or Instagram or whatever else it is, and they're not getting a ton of likes and they're not getting a lot of feedback. That depends on your understanding of social media. Now, you got to recognize that the people that are on the other side of social media that you're trying to get their attention, it's Facebook, it's Instagram. There's tons of things that they're interested in that are constantly, being thrown at them. So you got to share your images more. Share it in the morning, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Share it in the evening, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. is really great on Facebook. Instagram is somewhat the same, plus sharing around noon. Put your pictures in front of people, knowing that it's convenient for them, because they're not going to be looking at your pictures as much after midnight as they will be after dinner or after work or before work, lunch, things like that. So take that into account. It's also, you got to reach out to people. You got to say, hey, this is something I just shot. What do you think about it? What could I do better? Start following more photographers. Start following people that are doing the kind of photo shoots that you want to do, and learn from them and engage with them. Say, hey, I love how you got that shot. How did you do it? What did you have in mind for framing? What kind of lighting did you have? Just keep learning, absorbing this information, because it will really pay off in the end whenever you're the one that people are coming to, realizing that you've developed your own style and you know what you're doing. And in order to do this, you've got to keep learning. So if you're not getting a lot of likes on your stuff, put it in front of people when it's convenient for them. Engage with them, ask them for feedback. Get to know more photographers in your area and join a Facebook group, join groups. So keep shooting, keep putting it out there in front of people, and keep engaging with people that are interested in seeing your work. Start your own Facebook group, things like that. Third point that I have, learn more about lighting. It's so important. Lighting is natural lighting. If you're shooting inside, the light that you have from the window. How to use your flash, use static lighting, which is lighting that you plug in and maybe have it on its own stand with an umbrella to diffuse it a little bit. Things like that where you have a building knowledge of it. Because if you don't know what you're doing and you put yourself in a situation where you're getting paid to do this, it's going to look very bad on you, and it will really hurt you whenever you go into a situation where the lighting's bad and you don't know how to handle it. So really just get in there and learn about your lighting. That's number 3. Number 4, you need to know these 3 basic settings: frame speed, aperture, and the ISO of your camera. Keep them in mind always because they work with each other and they have a very big impact on your image whenever you're shooting. Shutter speed is used to control the brightness of your photo. It can be used to freeze action if somebody's jumping, running, and also at slower speeds, 1 second, 1/50th of a second, it can be used to create blur. So if you're wanting to shoot sports photography, you want to be able to have a higher shutter speed. And if you want something that creates some blur or double exposure, you're going to want to probably use something around 1/50th to a second, depending on what you're doing. Aperture essentially is the opening in your lens. It's measured in f-stop. If you're looking at an aperture of 2.8, that is actually bigger because it's letting in more light but capturing a smaller point of focus. The opposite of that would be an f-stop of 22, which is not letting in as much light, but it is capturing more in focus. So you're going to need to make up for that with either adjusting your frame speed or adding extra lights, things of that nature. Lastly, we have ISO. That basically put is the sensitivity of your camera to light. At a lower ISO, it's going to require more light around you to compensate for that. If it's really bright outside, you can lower your ISO because it's going to be less sensitive to that light. Now, these 3 things do play on each other. It's really important to understand them. I start out with my shutter speed, then I move to aperture, and then I will ultimately adjust my ISO if I'm having an overall issue with getting the light in the range that I need it to be. 5th, this is tailored towards more business. You're wanting more gigs, you're wanting more models, you're wanting more work, and you're wanting to get paid. The greatest advice I could give to you is shoot for free, because shooting for free allows you to build a portfolio, start relationships with people that can become long-term clients or business friends. I do that to this day, even though I have clients that pay me. Even though I do weddings, I still do free photo shoots because it keeps me working and it keeps me in front of people's face. And every week I'm consistent. Every week I'm showing what I can do. These are my 5 tips, but really, let's go over one more time. My 5 tips: the camera doesn't matter. Also, you need more likes. Put your content out there more. Get in groups. Ask for feedback. Find photographer friends. Third, really big tip: learn about lighting. Learn about natural lighting. Learn about how it affects your cameras, how different settings work. Learn about temperature. 4th, you need to learn these 3 settings: frame speed, aperture, ISO. Very important. Learn them. Now 5th, you need more gigs. Start shooting for free. Those are my 5 tips for any beginning DSLR camera user. Subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you think about this. If my editing was horrible, if I'm a horrible photographer, whatever you want to let me know, that's fine. Just throw a comment down there. Subscribe, like or dislike, for what it is I'm doing to bring you value so that you can become a better photographer. I can become a better photographer, and we can keep creating amazing content. This is Armando with Armando's Imagery. Be sure to check me out. Independent Music Night. Independent is major. Shout out to SJ. Keep shooting.